Imagine waking up, walking into your warehouse, and discovering that the manufacturer of your heavy machinery has permanently bolted the doors shut. You haven't been evicted. You didn't go bankrupt. You simply missed a $30 software payment, and now the tools you paid for refuse to turn on. Your entire operation is paralyzed. People think the modern subscription economy was built for their convenience. That is a lie. You were not given a subscription to make your business run smoother. You were placed on a subscription to ensure you never own a digital asset again. They rebranded it as software as a service. They sold it to you as an upgrade. But what it actually is digital feudalism. You do not own your infrastructure. You are renting the right to operate your own business. For centuries, the fundamental rule of wealth was simple and unbreakable. You buy an asset, you own it, and you leverage it to build your empire. When an industrialist in the early 20th century bought a heavy steel press, he did not pay a monthly fee to the manufacturer every time he stamped a piece of metal. He owned the means of production. It was a capital expenditure. It sat on his balance sheet as hard, undeniable equity. If the macroeconomic environment collapsed or his daily cash flow temporarily dried up, he still owned the machine. He could sell it to a competitor. He could borrow against its value to secure a loan, or he could let it sit idle in his warehouse until the market recovered. The ultimate leverage belonged entirely to him. But a few decades ago, Wall Street analysts realized a fatal flaw in the concept of true ownership. When you own your tools, they cannot bleed your cash flow every 30 days. When you have equity, you have leverage. And the modern financial system is mathematically designed to strip you of your leverage. Look at the early history of commercial software. 20 years ago, you bought a physical disk in a plastic box. You paid a flat, one-time fee for a design program, a customer database, or a word processor, and you owned that specific version forever. It was yours. It lived securely on your local hard drive. But financial engineers realized that a one-time sale is terrible for stock valuations. If a company sells you a program for $500, they make $500. The transaction is complete. The relationship ends. In order to make more money from you, they actually had to invest in research and development to invent a substantially better product to convince you to upgrade. But what if they forced you to rent it for $50 a month? They make $600 the first year. They make another $600 the next year, and the year after that. Over a single decade, your $500 tool now costs $6,000. They did not improve the code proportionately. They did not make the tool 12 times functionally better for your bottom line. They simply changed the lock on the door and demanded a monthly toll to let you back inside your own workspace. They engineered the ultimate financial metric, annual recurring revenue. This was not an accident of technology. It was a deliberate assassination of the asset. They have convinced an entire generation of founders that perpetual rent is the only way to scale, and that owning nothing is a sign of a modern, agile business. It is a trap. If you want to stop renting your life, build real equity, and learn the forensic truth about the business systems designed to keep you poor, join the mission. Subscribe to the channel now. To understand the exact moment this trap was sprung on the global market, we must look at the forensic math of the Adobe pivot in 2013. Before this date, Adobe sold its flagship product, the Creative Suite, for a flat fee. It was the absolute industry standard for graphic designers, photographers, and video editors. You paid roughly $1,000 to $2,000, and you owned the software. But there was a massive problem in the boardroom. Because users owned the software, they often skipped new versions. If the new features were not impressive enough, a designer would simply keep using the version they already owned for 5 or 6 years. Adobe's revenue was unpredictable. Wall Street despises unpredictable revenue. Their stock price was stagnant, trading at roughly $30 to $40 a share. So, the executives made a ruthless, brilliant financial decision. They killed the physical disks. They announced the absolute end of the perpetual license. They forced every single designer, every creative agency, and every business on earth onto the Creative Cloud subscription. If you wanted to open your own project files, you had to pay $50 a month, every single month, forever. The initial reaction from the market was outrage. Users felt betrayed, but Wall Street does not care about user outrage. They look at the balance sheet. Adobe's revenue transformed overnight from a volatile series of one-time sales into a massive, unstoppable river of predictable cash flow. They trapped their entire user base. Because the friction of learning a brand new design program was too high, users had no choice but to pay the ransom. Wall Street rewarded this hostage situation by multiplying their stock valuation. From the moment they forced the subscription model, Adobe's stock climbed from $40 a share to over $500 a share. They became a financial titan not by innovating a radically new product, but by completely stripping the ownership rights away from their users. They proved that you do not need to build a better tool if you can. Successfully monopolize the old one and rent it back to the public. And once Wall Street saw the math work for Adobe, Adobe. They demanded that every software company, every tool maker, and every service provider do the exact same thing. The blueprint was set. The era of owning your digital infrastructure was officially dead. To understand the true, terrifying scale of this financial trap, you cannot just look at digital software. You cannot write this off as a Silicon Valley problem. You must look at heavy industry. You must look at how this cancer of perpetual renting has spread from the digital world directly into the physical world. We are witnessing the rise of physical feudalism. Look at the modern agricultural industry. Look at John Deere, one of the most iconic manufacturers of heavy machinery on earth. For generations, the relationship was honest. A farmer bought a tractor, he owned the iron, and if it broke down in the middle of a harvest, he grabbed a wrench and fixed it. He owned the asset. Today, a farmer pays $500,000 for a piece of heavy machinery. He signs the paperwork with the bank. He transfers the massive amount of capital, and he brings the tractor to his own land. He believes he owns it. But when a single $10 sensor malfunctions in the engine bay, he opens the hood and discovers a brutal, modern reality. He is legally and technologically prohibited from fixing the machine he paid for. The proprietary software inside the engine control unit detects the unauthorized repair and locks the entire system down. It bricks a $500,000 asset. The engine will not turn over until the farmer pays a corporate technician to drive out to the field, plug in a proprietary diagnostic cable, and type in a password to grant him access to his own property. The farmer is a tenant on his own farm. He provided the capital, he took the risk, he pays the insurance, but the corporation retains the ultimate leverage. The fundamental right to repair your own property has been quietly replaced by the obligation to subscribe to the manufacturer's ecosystem. They have placed an invisible digital cage over a 6-ton piece of heavy iron. And if a massive corporation can do this to physical steel, what do you think they are doing to your digital business? Now, look at your own balance sheet. Look at the modern tech stack you use to run your company. We are constantly told that starting a business has never been cheaper. We are told the barrier to entry is practically zero, but this is a devastating lie. The barrier to entry is low, but the cost of survival is astronomical. You pay a monthly subscription for your customer relationship database. You pay a monthly fee for your website hosting. You pay monthly for your email marketing server. You pay monthly for your design software, your accounting ledger, your team communication channels, your video hosting, and your artificial intelligence tools. You are bleeding capital through 1,000 tiny cuts. This is the entrepreneur's hemorrhage. $30 here, $200 there, $500 a month for enterprise access. Over a 10-year horizon, you are silently transferring hundreds of thousands of dollars of your hard-earned equity directly to Silicon Valley. You have built a fortress, but you built it on rented dirt. You have no hard assets. You have no infrastructure. Your entire operation is just a temporary permission slip granted by a server farm in California, renewed every 30 days. If your credit card expires, if your bank flags a transaction, or if the platform simply decides they no longer like your industry and terminates your account, the landlords flip a switch and your entire business ceases to exist instantly. You cannot run your own data. You cannot contact your own customers. When your overhead is tied to perpetual, unavoidable rent, your profit margins are permanently capped. The software landlords can raise the price of your tools at any moment. They disguise it as an algorithm update or a new pricing tier, and you have no choice but to pay it, because the cost and friction of migrating your data to another platform is mathematically too high to survive. You are held hostage by the illusion of convenience. A business generating $10,000 a month in revenue, but paying $8,000 a month in recurring software overhead is not a business. It is a highly stressed, poorly paid job. You are taking all the risk of a founder, but accepting the permanent overhead of a tenant. If you see the trap they have built, if you recognize the hemorrhage on your own balance sheet, and if you refuse to be a digital serf to Wall Street, vote for the truth. Like this video. This brings us to the ultimate tragedy of the modern economy, the valuation of your life's work. You work 80 hours a week to build your company. You sacrifice your sleep, your relationships, and your peace of mind. But when it comes time to sell your business or to step away, what do you actually have to show for it? A business is valued by its profit multiples and its hard assets, but the modern entrepreneur owns nothing. You do not own the servers that host your platform. You do not own the software that manages your operations. You do not own the algorithms that distribute your content to your customers. You just have a highly stressed job with massive monthly overhead. The corporations selling you these subscriptions are valued at tens of billions of dollars, specifically because they own that recurring revenue. Your business is valued at a fraction of that because you are the one supplying their revenue. You are the battery powering their financial matrix. You are taking all the physical and mental risk of an entrepreneur, but you are accepting the equity of an employee. This is not just a software issue. This is the the macroeconomic vision of the entire future. The World Economic Forum famously predicted a future where you will own nothing and you will be happy. People thought it was a political conspiracy. It is not a conspiracy. It is a business model. It is the exact business model you are currently funding. They want you to rent your clothes, lease your car, subscribe to your entertainment, and pay a perpetual monthly fee just to operate your own business. A population that owns nothing is a population that can be perfectly controlled by whoever controls the subscriptions. Look at your own balance sheet today. Calculate how much of your monthly revenue is automatically siphoned away by digital landlords. Is the subscription model a brilliant technological innovation that lowers the barrier to entry, or is it corporate theft disguised as convenience? Give your verdict in the comments below. We have completely forgotten the fundamental architecture of wealth. The modern corporate machine wants you to be a perpetual tenant. They want you owning nothing and remaining perfectly content with your monthly fees. They have gamified the surrender of your equity. But ancient wisdom warns against this exact trap. The book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 22, states that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. You cannot pass down a software subscription. You cannot leave an inheritance of rented cloud storage, leased infrastructure, and borrowed tools. True wealth requires equity. It requires ownership. If you want to build a true Scale Foundry, you must break the cycle. Buy your tools whenever possible. Build custom infrastructure. Own your customer distribution. Build your empire on your own digital land. Stop funding the financial matrix that is mathematically designed to keep you poor, and start accumulating hard assets. This system of endless digital rent is just one mechanism they use to drain your cash flow. But there is another silent mechanism stealing your purchasing power every single day, right out of your bank account without you even noticing. It is a system designed to punish the saver and reward the debtor. Click the video on your screen right now to uncover the silent thief and learn how the financial system is secretly erasing your wealth before you even get the chance to spend it.